Oh, good. I want you guys to notice he's out of uniform tonight. Well, welcome to the August meeting of the River City Amateur Radio Communications Society Limited. Oh, we don't have a limited. In any event, at this point, we'd like to start self-introductions, and I will begin. My name is Phil. I'm KD6RM. James.
But the folks on Zoom, okay, there we go. I am James, AE6JG.
I'm Carol, KP4MD. I'm Vice President and Webmaster for the club, and also the ARRL Sacramento Valley Section Manager.
Okay.
Microphone. Mike's the cameraman.
I'm Mike, K7GFM, a board member.
I'm Cam, 6ABC. I'm a dork.
Yeah, but a
How do you
nice
spell
dork. And I'm Gert. KK6 ZGA, club secretary.
I'm Hank, K6HUH.
Yeah, I'm Steve, Whiskey 6, Victor, Delta Papa.
I'm Arthur, KD6GBY.
I'm Bob, N6PGQ.
I'm Neil, KL7HQR.
John, Whiskey Alpha 6, Whiskey Sierra Tango.
My name is Diane. I don't have a call number. I know nothing about radio, but I have a unique.
You're in
need and-
exactly the right place. We don't either.
I have a unique need and interest to learn.
Welcome.
I'm Don, W6PJJ.
I'm Ken, KE6RMN, and I'm the newsletter editor.
Jen, Kilo India 1, Tango Tango Yankee.
All right, Wilson, November 6 Echo Mike Foxtrot.
Les, W6TEE.
I'm Dave, WB6YLK, beautiful downtown Wilton.
You're not in Wilton.
I'm Marie, YL to WB6YLK, and in the process of trying to get my license.
Matthew, W6KDJ.
Thank you, Matthew. Do we have Jojo online? No? Well, when he logs in, we'll do the treasurer's report and membership report. How about website activity? Well, who we got? We've got Carl. Introduce yourself, Carl.
Good evening, everyone. Carl, N6CKV from Walton.
And then we've got Gary Hayes. You there, Gary? Muted. Oh, there he is. Space bar. How about Bill, N6WLM?
Yeah, it's Bill, November 6th, Whiskey Lima Mike here in Russell.
Great. All right. With that, we'll try website activity. Oh, is he back?
Okay, Gary texted us and said hi, everyone on the chat.
Hello, Gary.
Okay, we're going to do the website report now.
I'll get out of the way.
There we go. That's good.
And come over here and
Okay, this is the web report for July 2023. Let's see. Just have to click somewhere in the, there you go. Just a reminder that the website is n6na.org. And thanks again to the website design team. It helps to keep it updated. Reminder that our nets are on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. We have a 2-meter net on 145.25 FM repeater. And you can also check into that net via Echolink or All-Star. At 8:30 p.m., we have our 10-meter net on 28.420 megahertz upper sideband. Everyone is welcome to check in. Everyone with all licensed classes can get on that frequency. So we're trying to encourage the technicians also to get their HF stations going there. At 9 p.m., we have our slow scan television net, and that's on 441.30 megahertz FM repeater. And you can also watch that on our YouTube channel. We broadcasted live on our YouTube channel, and you could also join us on the live chat there as well. A reminder also that we have our roundtable net Saturdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time on 40 meters at 7181 kilohertz lower sideband. And that's a completely informal chat for fun. Reminder, okay, here's the report of the website activity for the month of July. We had 614 views to our website, and the peak number of web page views were 76, and that was on July 5th. The most visited web pages was the homepage, 309 views. The magnetic loop page had 46 views. The Nets page had 33 views. The About Us page, 28, and the repeater page also 28. By source, 44.4% of our visits came referred by Google, and 42.7% were direct hits to our n6na.org URL. And by region, yeah, Google changed the format of their reports here, so the numbers are a little different. They're comparing apples and to oranges if compared just to last month, I mean. But most of our visits are from United States. Here they're saying the number of visitors that we had from the United States was 196. 4 from Germany, 4 from United Kingdom, 3 from Canada, 3 from Ireland, 3 from Italy, and 2 from Czech Republic. So, and then there's a few number from all of these other countries that you see lit up there in the map. Social media, our YouTube channel has 414 subscribers. That's an increase in 5 since last month. We had 417 views of our videos during the month of July, and we now have 780 followers on our Facebook page. That's up 10 from last month. And Twitter page has 149 followers, and our Discord chat is going strong. We have 35 members there as well. Just a reminder also that if you want to contact anybody among the leadership, the board of directors or the officers, you can send an email to contact@n6na.org, and we will try to answer your questions. So that's it. That's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. We've got some things coming. In the month of September, we're going to do our annual homebrew night. Everybody familiar with what that's all about? I expect Don to bring in a 8-800 transmitter that he built. He gave me the look. I don't think he wants to do that. In any event, homebrew night, we've got some rules that regard that. We'll put it on the website so everybody knows what's going on. But it's kind of a fun event. It's one of my favorite topics for the year. In October, we do our white elephant sale. We bring in all the stuff that we wish to sell, donate the funds to the club, get it out of your shack. So pencil that down. And in November, we haven't absolutely decided what's going on in November. I did bring a sample of a homemade link tuner. And if anybody here familiar with what a link tuner is? Only if you smoke it.
Well,
link coupled tuner. Typically,
November, we have elections.
Well, I haven't got to that yet, but it's on here. If you have balanced feeders, remember a transmission line is an impedance transformer. So if you have an antenna that's 75 ohms and you run balanced feeders down to your shack, you're not going to see 75 ohms impedance. And I'm working with a guy now that has a delta loop on 80 meters with about 80 foot of open ladder line. And he's having a devil of a time trying to match that. But we put together a link coupler for him, and we're going to actually probably go through a little review of that in November. But at that point, it's not defined. In November, we do have elections, but in reading the bylaws tonight, I discovered that in the month of August, we're supposed to nominate officers. So who wants to be an officer? How come it's so quiet? I think they are, yeah. So since I'm so late in announcing this, I'll have a conversation with our existing officers to see who's still interested in participating next year in their positions. But I'm sure we're going to have an opening for president. Trust me on that. Oh, Jojo's here. Jojo, are you up to the task of doing your treasurer's report? Switch him on.
Yes. Sorry, I can't pull up my report. Oh, thank you very much. So, good evening. My name is Jojo, KN6HTD. I'm the treasurer of River City Arts, and I'm presenting today's treasure and membership report for the month of August. Currently, we are standing at 147 active members, and this is a snapshot of what you can see in our n6na.org webpage. If you see our call sign, that means you are current or up to date with your membership. Otherwise, please let me know if there's any discrepancy.
He wants your money.
So 89 are ARRL members, and that makes 61% of us as ARRL members. Can you scroll up, please? Thank you. May I remind everyone about the HamClubOnline? That is our new membership platform where you can see the other club members. And I add all of you as you renew your membership due. So make sure you log in so you can check your membership status. You will be reminded at your anniversary date, which is your date.
Jojo, can we do a session at one of our future meetings, kind of review how to use HamClubOnline so everybody's familiar with it?
Oh, sure.
I think we need to do that because this new renewal cycle's coming up and they're going to be lost until somebody gives them a little bit of help.
Right. Exit full screen. I can open up HamClubOnline and share. Okay, may I share? Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I hope you can see HamClubOnline. You just type hamclubonline.com in the browser, and it will lead you to this. You should have your email. It doesn't log me in automatically in this one. But anyway. I don't have my credentials right now. Sorry. But this
Well,
is
we probably should do this maybe next month or the month after, but we need to get it done before the renewal period starts, which is end of the year, by the way, for most of us.
But what will happen, or what should happen, is that you'll get sent a link and you'll just be able to click on the link and you'll renew in this system. That's what we're working on through PayPal. Jojo, we're using PayPal.
not yet. That's what I'm gonna work on.
We will be using PayPal.
We will be using PayPal and integrate it there, so we can move away from.
We'll have the same functionality that we currently do, but through this new portal.
Yes.
And membership, did we cover that yet?
Not yet. Oh, yes, we did. We're on the treasury part now. Carol, was it you who pulled up my report? Thank you. Okay, for the financial report, this is how much we have in the bank, 10,065.99, and this is accurate with our books. So thank you for our evergreen donors, David, Lawrence, and Sylvia. We're waiting for the debit transactions to happen, and that involves the trailer tire purchase of about 300 and the laptop battery for less than $40. I always put some things to consider here. Number one is our club nonprofit status, and how about creating a River City eBay selling account? So I've been getting the items donated. I don't know where to put them except to sell them during ham swaps, or maybe put them on the website n6na.org or create an eBay account.
Typically, what we do with the donations is the white elephant. That's been our traditional method of disposing of that stuff.
I just enjoyed selling in the ham swap the first time I did it. James was there and we earned some significant amount. Right? It was great. That is all I will have to put in.
Well, Jojo, thank you. I know you've had your hands full with doing this HamClubOnline thing, adding those features and keeping track of this stuff. That treasurer's job is a lot of work. Where was I going with all this? Oh, in November, we will have our election. And I would like each of you to think about any officer positions you may be interested in, because I'd like to get that pinned down when we have our meeting in October, so that in December or November we can actually vote on the final listing of officers. In the month of December, we're going to have our annual holiday dinner, which will be on December 5th, 7 p.m. And we're having it at the Spaghetti Factory on Sunrise. And we have 3 menu choices. The board decided that spaghetti with marinara sauce is choice number 1. Spaghetti with the meat sauce is choice number 2. And then baked lasagna is choice number 3. The drinks are on your own. We have to prepay the dinners. So we have to get each of you pinned down as to what you'd like and collect your money prior to December 5th. So we'll start taking orders for our December dinner, I believe, in the month of October. We might start before October, but probably then. And so with that, I'd like to have Jen chat for a moment and give us kind of an update on this ARCARCS status thing. You need a microphone. Does everybody know what this ARCARCS event's all about? It's the Girl Scouts talking with a space station. That's exactly right.
Hello, there we go. So our space station connection with the Girl Scouts is going to happen the week of February 19th, 2024. We're still waiting for our final approval of our plans that we put in. And we had a meeting last week to talk about what's left in terms of our equipment list and also talk about fundraising and who's going to help with the training. And Amanda's going to start with the training, and then we need 5 members, whether it's from the Girl Scout side, parents, and or us, to help on each training night. And we're following the Girl Scouts and ARIS curriculum. And that's going to start in late September, and there'll be 7 sessions, 6 right off the bat in consecutive Wednesdays from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Girl Scouts location. Their headquarters is 6601 Elvis. And then from there, we'll have another meeting later to do a build that's part of the program. And also we're going to have some separate meetings with the club members here in setting up the actual real equipment. We're going to fundraise for the equipment that we're going to be using, any additions that we need, along with the stuff that's being loaned. And we're also looking for seeing if the Girl Scouts would be interested in, at their headquarters, making a permanent ham STEM station there so that all programs in the area could learn how to use ham radio and make it a regular club, Girl Scout club activity and badge series. So that's where we are right now. Couple weeks, hopefully. I've sent out a survey to find out where we are with ARIS in terms of our plans, but hopefully we'll know more this week.
Jen, do we have a budget for how much this equipment?
No, we've got to nail down every widget. So George and I are going to finish up. We have a pretty good idea, but I think we're missing a few cables, et cetera, that could be costly. So I want to make sure we have that down. And then also, if we're going to fundraise for a permanent station, whether it's there or at a local high school, once we're done with whatever the gear that we're using, we want to make sure we have a donation path for that. And we're going to be using the Girl Scouts 501c3 status to do the fundraising.
Okay. I was just informed that we've got a full house here at the meeting, but 3 of you have not signed in. So if you would, it'd be great if you could add your name to our roster. Oh, we have new ones. Bob, K6GCN. Say hello.
How's that?
That's much better. How's the view from the lighthouse?
The view from the lighthouse is spectacular. Wish I was there, actually.
Welcome, Bob.
Thank you.
Mike, YCN.
Yes, good afternoon. Good evening, rather.
Are you having fun?
Oh, yes. Aren't we all?
Absolutely. Did we get Carl earlier? Yeah, I thought we did.
Yeah, you got me.
Okay. And we did have Gary. He sent in a little note to us. So welcome all. With that, our speaker tonight is Carol, KP4MD. She's going to talk about WebSDR. And with that, I'll sign myself out of here.
Sharing. Yeah. Okay.
It's slow,
Very slow.
but it's coming.
Yeah. Okay. Boy, it's weird. There it is. See that one work? Okay. Here we go. This mic works now. Okay, very good. Okay, this is setting up your own WebSDR with OpenWebRX. And I was looking into, I know I've talked about SDRs to the club here before, but the last time I did that was about 10 years ago. And this is actually the talk that I gave 10 years ago. It was February of 2013. It was an introduction to software-defined radio. And let's see if my clicker works here. Oh, no, the clicker won't work on this one because it's plugged into the wrong one here. Here. This will plug in here and it should work. Okay. Okay, this way I could actually be seen, except that I'm blocking the view there. I think this works good. Okay, let's see if my clicker works. Here, it does work. Okay. Back in 2013, software-defined radio was not very common in ham radio. They were just like, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here as we go in. I'm just going to do a review of software-defined radio for some of you who might be new, because this is pretty much cutting-edge technology for us. The breakthrough article in the QST was the software-defined radio for the masses by Gerald Youngblood, AC5OG, and he was describing a project called the SDR 1000. And this was the very first product that was put out by Flex Radio. And it was groundbreaking because software-defined radio had existed since at least the 1940s or the 1950s. But it was something that was used by the military and it was extremely expensive. The cost was prohibitive for amateur radio operators to get involved with it. But Gerald Youngblood is one of the founders of Flex Radio, did some groundbreaking work in making this available for the masses, starting with the SDR 1000. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the concepts here. The digital signal processing, a lot of the radios that we had back in about 10 years ago or so did have the digital signal processing, and this was not really software-defined radio, but it was some radios that had a button for noise reduction. It was kind of something that was kind of advanced in audio processing, but it wasn't exactly software-defined radio. What SDR really is, it's a flexible device. Let me see, here we go. It changes, or it's all in software. It's replacing a lot of what used to be done with hardware, electronic components, and manipulating the stream of information using a computer and mathematics in order to do the demodulation and the processing of the signal. So the thing about an SDR is that it's completely redefined in the field easily through modification of the software. You don't have to be soldering and desoldering components and changing values of inductors and capacitors or resistors. It's all done in software. So there's minimal hardware. What the hardware is used for is to select the frequency, to down convert, and to digitize the RF signal into digital binary code, ones and zeros. So the basic SDR that we had back in 2010 was an RF front end, which processed the radio frequency signal. And then the digitizer, they use very often a sound card, which changed the signals, which was the I and the Q signals, into a digital format, and then a separate personal computer that did the processing and did the demodulating and presented the waterfall and the spectrum and all that. Now, 2023, many of the software-defined radios incorporate all of that in one box. So you don't have to have a bunch of wires connecting all these different things like we did back at the beginning. The front end, I'm just going to very quickly go through this. I don't really need, this is all going to be on a slideshow, and I'm sharing this on the website. So if you want to go back and look at this, that's fine. But again, this does a down conversion of the radio signal to the intermediate, a low intermediate frequency that's easily processed by the analog to digital converter. And that's just a block diagram. Again, that's going to be on the slideshow. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. And there's something called a quadrature detector. What it does is it takes the signal and it splits it into an in-phase component and a quadrature, the component, which is shifted by 90 degrees phase. With those two signals, It has all the information you need to demodulate any kind of information, AM, FM, single sideband, CW, what have you. That's all you need. Those two signals, put them into the computer, and the computer then through the software can do the demodulation. And again, that does the, I'm just talking about the analog to digital converter. What we used back 10 years ago, a lot of time was a sound card that was built into computers. And those had a bandwidth of maybe 44 kilohertz for a 16-bit sound card. So that was the widest amount of spectrum you could see at any one time, which is a tiny little piece, 44 kilohertz. But nowadays, they're much faster converters that can sample many megahertz. Actually, you have ADCs that will do the entire HF spectrum at one time. You can display the entire band from 0 to 30 megahertz or even higher. Actually, it is one, the RX888, that'll go up to from 0 to 100 megahertz. The software demodulates the signal, applies digital signal processing, bandpass filtering, notch rejection, noise reduction, equalization, etc., and reproduces the modulating audio, video, or displays the data if it's decoding anything like CW or teletype or any of the digital modes. A fast Fourier transform provides the spectrum and waterfall displays that you see. Okay, these are some samples of the hardware that we had for software-defined radio back in 2010. The SDR 1000, as I mentioned, something called the Soft Rock 40, which is a very basic 40-meter SDR receiver. Little dongles called the Fun Cube, which was actually designed for people to be able to receive satellite signals. It was a tiny little dongle, just like about this size. It would plug into the USB port, and you would put the antenna on this side, and then the computer would do all of the demodulating. The Elecraft KX3 was one of the first commercial, other than the Flex radios, that was an SDR. And it's all self-contained. It's got all the processing in there, except if you want to see the waterfall display, what you need to do is use a separate, there's output for the I and the Q streams on the KX3, and you could plug that into another computer that'll actually do the display. Pan adapter, that's right, the pan adapter. And the Flex radios that were around back then were the 1500 to 3000 to 5000. They were not the modern ones we have now. And the RTL SDR dongle, which is what I showed here. It's still, you can buy one of these for like $20 or $30. And the ones they have out now will receive everything from HF up through like 2 gigahertz. Yeah, DC to daylight, and it converts any personal computer into a wide spectrum receiver. I have the Flex 1500. I have one of these, and I also have the Flex 3000, which is one. This is a QRP one. This one puts out 5 watts, but I use this mostly as a exciter for my VHF transverters. That was one of the popular things for using this for. It works that way. There's the KX3. There's the RTL SDR dongles, and there's the Fun Cube dongle we talked about. All these were around about 13 years ago. Nowadays, what you have a bunch of stuff: the SDR Play, AirSpy, HackRF, Kiwi SDR. The Kiwi SDR will actually display the entire HF spectrum from 0 to 32 megahertz at a time. RX888, that's the new one that goes up from 0 to over 100 megahertz. And the Kiwi is no longer in production. The RX88 is a new device. It's about $200, but it's just the box. You still need to connect it to your computer, and the computer does the software part of it. Then the Elecraft K4 is an SDR also. The Flex Radio 6000 series I mentioned, those are very expensive, of course. Then the ICOM IC 7300, very popular, is one of the first very popular SDRs that were out there. The 9700, the IC 905, Yaesu FTDX10 is a hybrid. Some of these radios are hybrid SDRs. What they do is they take hardware and the front end for the filtering, which is one of the maybe the weak points of some SDRs. So they put roofing filters, etc., ahead of the SDR part of the radio to get the best of both worlds. And then the Zago, the G90 and the X6100 also was an SDR. Yeah, you see, it's very obvious, you know, these are the SDRs, you got the K4, this is the 7300 ICOM, that's the Zago, and then this is that little SDR play, which it does need a separate computer to work. And this is one I actually used on the WebSDR we're going to talk about in a moment here. Now, this was the article that came out in QST 2013 that kind of gave me the inspiration to do the presentation about SDR here at the club back then. And we used one of these dongles. And we actually had a couple of the dongles. We set it up with a Discone antenna and some laptop computers, and we showed how this works. This by itself was receiving only from 50 megahertz up to about 2 gigahertz, but we used it to tune in FM broadcast stations. It comes in nice and clear. 2-meter repeaters, 440 repeaters, all you can hear anything that was anywhere in that spectrum. And it's not blocked for cell frequencies. There's no way to do that. So, but that's all digital anyway. There's no way you can see that. And this was a comparison back then of what this brought compared to what was existing in hardware radios. The dongle for $29 gave you all of these features. It gave you this wide band coverage, a scanning pan adapter, upgradable, etc. And then the hardware radio that would do pretty much the same thing up to 2000 megahertz was $1,969. This was a game changer having SDR compared to the old 100% hardware radios. Yeah, the front end. No, the front end on this, especially these dongles, but the new ones like the SDR Play do have filtering, and they're a little bit more expensive, but this is what you get. The bottom of the barrel, $29, and but it's still usable. Yes, Wilson. I'm going to give you the microphone here.
Oh, the question was from N6EMF here. The Newski, does it have a transmitter?
No, these are strictly receivers. Okay, yeah, this dongle is a receiver. These dongles were originally intended for receiving European television. They use a DVB-T system, which is different from what we have, digital television. And this way, over in Europe, they use this and they go watch all the TV channels coming in through here. And it was hacked by a European electronic engineer who looked inside here and figured out that he could turn this into a wide range receiver for all kinds of modes and stuff. So this was a breakthrough. Okay, but this is not a transmitter. And what I did demonstrate when I gave that talk was the software called SDR Sharp. That's still available. That was one of the first Windows programs that came out for the RTL SDR dongle. You would plug it into the computer, and then the computer would be running this program. This is the window. You would dial your frequency in here. You would choose your modes here. And then you had all kinds of controls here for your audio, AGC, the bandwidth and that you were displaying. Here I was showing 145.25 as our repeater. And that's our signal from our repeater. In the sidebands, it was showing a complete spectrum display of that. And then down here is the waterfall. I had the waterfall a little small on this one. Another presentation I gave here in 2015. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Oh, you got it good. Another thing I showed was how you can use one of these dongles to measure the frequency deviation of your transmitter. And there's the SDR Sharp program there on my little laptop computer. And this is a little oscilloscope program that displays the audio, the demodulated audio. And you can use this for, this is what it does. It shows you the modulated waveform. And you can, from this, you can actually determine what your deviation percentage is. So you can make an accurate adjustment on your radio if you need to for your transmitted modulation level. This is something you would do for especially if you were transmitting packet or anything like WinLink or anything like this, and you needed to, or even doing slow scan TV or anything else where you're sending tones over your radio and you want to make sure that you're not over deviating or you're not under deviating. Now we can set it to the ideal deviation that you want. So what is a WebSDR? For those of you, again, there's some new people here and may not know what a WebSDR is. It's a software-defined radio that's interfaced to a home network and or the internet and is accessible through a web browser. So you can keep it private for use only inside your own premises, or you can also open it up for the public to have access to it as well if you want worldwide. There are pros and cons to both of those things. Why would you set up a WebSDR? Well, here's a couple of reasons I figured out. You want to monitor the airwaves through a browser while away from your radio station, so you don't have to be sitting in front of your very expensive radio, have it turned on, for a long time if you want to be monitoring, for a period. And you could do it at home, somewhere else in your house, not necessarily inside your ham shack, or you could do it when you're away from home and you want to listen to the radio through your station. WebSDRs usually consume less power than most transceivers. And that is very true for the one that I set up, because what I'm using is an SDR play, and it's plugged into an SDR play, by the way. I'll show you one here. This is the SDR play. They sell these at Ham Radio Outlet, go for about $100. And this thing will tune from 100 kilohertz up to 2 gigahertz. And this is actually much better than the dongle because it's got all of the filters in there for it's much higher quality. When you get what you pay for, it's $100, but it's worth it. And it's connected to a computer, of course. The computer I use is a Raspberry Pi. A Raspberry Pi is a single board computer about the size of a deck of cards. And it only draws like about 5 watts of power. So you're using a station that's going to be operating with a minimal amount of electrical consumption compared to a transceiver. And of course, it's a lot less expensive than your transceiver. And you're not going to be burning out your transceiver by leaving it on 24 hours a day if you wanted to listen that long. Also, you have an antenna at your house, which you use most of the time only when you're transmitting. And when you're not transmitting, it's there doing nothing. Well, now you can have it hooked up to a receiver so it's accessible and monitoring the airwaves as long as you want. So, well, that's a good point. You should not be transmitting into the same antenna that you're receiving on because you can blow out the front end of the receiver. If you have a separate receive antenna from your transmit antenna, usually there's not a problem if you're transmitting low power. But if you do anything like 100 watts or more, and the antennas are close enough to each other, you can couple enough power into the front end of your SDR to blow it. So you need to be careful about that. You can also share your WebSDR with others if you'd like. That's one thing I've decided to do. I have my WebSDR on at home right now, and it's accessible through the internet. And I'm going to give a demonstration of it in a moment here. There's a link that I'm going to share with all of you so you can try it at home if you want, or even here if you have a cell phone with a browser. Yeah, a lot of you may be familiar with this. This is the Half Moon Bay WebSDR, kfsdr.com. A lot of us use these. There's another one over in northern Utah, which is very popular to be used. And it's one that we sometimes use when we want to hear how our signal is getting out. We can be transmitting HF and want to see if we're being heard over there. We can tune ourselves in and see what the signal strength is. It gives an idea of what the propagation is at Half Moon Bay. The same way for the SDRs elsewhere, like northern Utah. And some of these are located all around the world. So you can see where you're being heard anywhere in the world this way. This particular software was written by a gentleman, I believe a Dutchman, I don't remember his call particularly, but if you request, he will send you a copy of the software and you can set it up. And it works with some specific types of receivers. And it's got some specific types of controls that are available on here. So this is one of the first web SDRs that I was aware of that was on the internet. Now, OpenWebRX is a separate, different software. It was actually a project of a Hungarian student named Andras Retzler, HA7ILM, and he created this for the RTL SDRs as his thesis for his Bachelor of Science degree. So he did this as a student. And when he finished and got his degree, he worked on it for a while and decided he wasn't going to work on it anymore, but he gave it freely for anybody to use. So volunteers have, programmers have picked it up and continue with its development, and they're adding more and more features to it all the time. It can accommodate multiple users. So you can have up 20 users or more at the same time, logged into your receiver and tuning around and listening to different parts of the band you're on. You need a computer for it, an SDR, and network access. That's all you need. The computer could be a Raspberry 3, a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4, or a PC running Linux. Or you can have like a Windows or a Mac computer running VirtualBox and have the Linux running in there, and then you're going to have the software running on that. So the right now it's set up with drivers for RTL SDR dongles, the AirSpy, and the SDR Play, and it'll work with most internet browsers. Kiwi SDR, you might be familiar with also, is another piece of hardware that uses OpenWebRX. So if you've ever gone onto a Kiwi SDR online, you'll be familiar with OpenWebRX because it's pretty much the same thing. The modes you can receive with that are AM, FM, single sideband, CW, FreeDV, FT8, JT65, PSK31, packet, and more. And there's a new branch of this program that's called OpenWebRX Plus that adds a CW decoder, a radio teletype, DMR, D-Star, Yaesu System Fusion, SSTV, fax, and more. I mean, it's like it receives almost everything and decodes it for you. And it's free. Isn't that neat? There is a website called receiverbook.de, which is a free directory service listing of online SDR receivers. Those who have these, who have decided to share them with the rest of the world. That there's pros and cons to that. If you want to do that, you want like do a public service for all the world to use your receiver, that's fine. There is a problem though, because if you publicize in something like that, you're making your receiver accessible for perhaps some bad actors as well. And I have to say that once I did publish my Kiwi SDR in one of these directories, and I found that one of the regular users that was logging into the Kiwi SDR was from China, the People's Republic of China, and they were listening to Beale Air Force Base military comms. And it's kind of like, espionage, using my receiver to listen on to a military comms, and I decided I didn't want to have that continue, so I took it off that. No, the FBI did not. But I did. I notified them. I didn't notify the FBI, but I notified the military that they were doing this sort of thing, and I'm sure they were aware that that's just been going on. So I just didn't want to collaborate in this. So you can have your web SDR online, accessible for those that you want to share it with, and all you would have to do is give the link to the people you want to share it with, like I've done. I'm doing it here now with the club. So how do you install it? I'm not going to, yes? Yeah, you can password. Okay, the question was, can you password protect? The Kiwi SDR can be password protected, and that's what I've done now with my Kiwi SDR. The OpenWebRX, the way you would install it is you go to the website, which is openwebrx.de, and then you click on this menu button here, and then It'll direct you to any of the repositories, the Debian, Ubuntu, Docker images, and the Raspberry Pi images, and they even have the source code there. It's all open source. I'm not going to go into detail about actually installing this, but because there's a lot of tutorials online and YouTube videos that explain you how to do that. But I'm going to show you when you actually run it, this is what you're going to see. What you do is you go to your browser, any browser, and then you put in the URL of your WebSDR. You can have a URL in your house on your local area network. It'd be 192.168.0. You can find out what that is by looking in your router, and it brings up this this page here. And you have all your controls here. Here you have the where you select the modes. Here is where you select the band. And there you actually type in the frequency you want to look at. Here you have your volume control, your squelch control. These are buttons to adjust the contrast and the brightness of the waterfall. And these are for zooming in and zooming out. This is for opening up to see the entire band segment. And this is for zooming in very close. And then you could actually record the audio that you're listening to by clicking the record button. In this case, it's tuned to the FT8 frequency. You can see it's on digital and it's FT8. So what it's doing is it's decoding all of these FT8 signals coming through. And that's the kind of, that's just an example of what you see. There's a question. Okay, can I pass you the microphone here so others can hear the question?
My question is, I'm new here. My dad was a ham radio operator for 50, 60 years. He kept bugging me to get a license. I never did. I was a tow truck driver for 35 years. My idea of radios was Motorola's and all the stuff I had to deal with 3A and shop radios and everything else. My question is, I heard you talking about the Girl Scouts talking to the astronauts. Are they still broadcasting where you can monitor on a scanner frequency?
Okay, yeah, the International Space Station has 2 meter frequencies that are they operate voice. They do have they have ham stations up there. There's a ham station on the American side. There's a ham station on the Russian side. They do broadcast sometimes slow scan television pictures from there. And our slow scan group has picked up a number of those pictures and shared them with each other. Also, there are times when you can talk with them. But of course, the astronauts are on a very busy schedule. And yeah. Yeah, many years ago, the shuttle, when they did this, they used to do the shuttle flights. That was a big thing, that they would operate. But now it's usually they do it on their free time when they want to. But the ARIS program is the Amateur Radio Board, the International Space Station, and they do these educational contacts with students scheduled throughout the year, many months in advance. And our club is sponsoring this Girl Scout Troop 1089. And we've been approved to do this in 2024. So this is a big deal. We were one of 8 in the nation that were selected for that. So thank you very much for that question. And we're talking about OpenWebRX again. OpenWebRX, you can tune into the International Space Station when they're transmitting and pick up their their transmissions as well. If you have any questions about OpenWebRX, there is a discussion group on groups.io, and you can join that. There's over 1,000 members, as you can see, and it's a very active message board. We're going to do the demonstration, and now the URL is http://sdr.n6na.org. and then :8074. The station is, I have it in my home in Citrus Heights. I have 2 antennas on it. One antenna is for HF. It's a 40 meter full wave horizontal loop antenna. It's 140 feet of wire in a square, and it's up 20 feet above the ground. And I use that from 0.5 megahertz, which is in the AM broadcast band, all the way up to 54 megahertz. And then for VHF from 88 up to 910 megahertz, I have VHF, UHF bow ties up on the roof with a amplifier to make it a bit more sensitive. The SDR Play receives up to 10 megahertz at a time. It doesn't receive the entire spectrum, the 2 gigahertz altogether. So what you do is you on the receiver, you click on this little arrow here, and it brings this selection here where you can select among the different amateur radio bands from 80 meters all the way down to 33 centimeters. And there's also some general coverage segments from 0.5 megahertz up to 910 megahertz. Question from Dave. Oh yeah, this is going to be, this slideshow is going to be on our website. So if you missed it, and it's also going to be on the recording on the YouTube. Okay. And actually, if you go to our web page and you click on the announcement about this talk, it'll bring you directly to another page that's going to give you all this information as well. Etiquette. Okay, this is important. The OpenWebRX can accommodate a lot of users at one time, but the SDR Play only tunes one band at a time. So if someone else is there using this and you jump in and you join them on that band, if you switch the band, you're going to be switching what the other person is listening to. So we try not to do that. It's one of the shortcomings of this particular setup. So we try to limit that. Right now, I don't have any time limit set on there, but you can go into settings and set a lot of time limit so that if somebody's on no more than like 10, 15 minutes or 30 minutes, that's completely customizable as well. So I'm going to do the demonstration. See if another question.
You know somebody else is using it. You know, some show the client list who's listening to it.
No, this doesn't have that particular feature. Just got to be careful about, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to try to do a live demonstration. Let's see how this works. Slow, but this is the page on our website now. Yeah, this is a page on our website now. If you scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see WebSDR. You could click that and go here to WebSDR. And this is the link that'll go straight to the receiver. So let's see if we do that. It should bring up the receiver now and see how that works. There it goes. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay, we're going to bring up 20 meters. That's 20 meters, FT8. That's FT8 on 20 meters. Go to switch over to another model. I just want to see you see any decoding. FT8 is a there you can see all of these decodes right now. All of these are different people that are sending these signals. It's a weak signal mode supposedly for people with like compromised antennas that allow them to communicate over long distances with low power. And it's a digital mode where you send your call sign and your I believe you send your grid square. That's right. And then it's all the rage right now for those who are not familiar with it. The grid square is a locator. It's a different grid square for every point on the globe. So let's go ahead and try another band like 40 meters. Okay, this is 40 meters. And we can go in and look at some of let's go to the voice here. We're gonna have to switch over to lower sideband. And we're gonna have to zoom in here. Yeah, this is on the loop. That's a net that's on 7214 right now. If you want to take a look at 2 meters, we can go up to 2 meters. Okay, it is 2 meters. And I think there's probably going to be some nets starting here in just a moment. It's almost 8 o'clock. But what you see here, this is just noise. Some of these are just birdies and noise. These are not actual transmitting signals. I don't see that there's any net starting right this moment on that band. If we go to, we can go to general coverage. This is the AM broadcast band. AM broadcast band, that's KSTE. At 650. This is WWV. It's on 10 megahertz. And it's on 5 megahertz. I'm sorry it's not very loud, but I can hear it through the computer just fine here. And we listen to FM broadcast. Yeah, this is my antenna at home. This is KXJZ, that's NPR station on 90 point. Uh, 2.5, it's still light out, so I don't know if you'll. Yeah, at 2.5 may not be coming through yet. That's 5. I'm sorry, that's 5 megahertz. Let me get back on that. There. Yeah, it's on 5 megahertz. If I tried 2.5, there's nothing yet. CHU is just barely coming through there. CHU on 3 megahertz is coming through a little. There's a question. Okay, the way you know if somebody's on the band is you look down in the down here in the left-hand corner. It says clients 2. If it's clients 1, that means you're the only one that's on there. If you see clients 2, that means somebody else is logged on. So somebody is watching us as well, and they're watching me jump around in the bands as I'm doing that. But as long as I stay on this one band, they can tune anywhere they want and listen to any of those signals coming through on that band, and it doesn't interact with me at all.
Question, Carl?
Was there a question?
Yeah, there is. Carl, this is Bob, K6GCN. The station the station identifiers at the top, do those come up automatically, that kind of metadata, or is that something that you put in yourself?
That's something I put in myself, but if you want to personalize something that you're hearing on there for yourself, you can, that you're listening to, for example, you're listening to whatever that is. I'm not sure what that is. That looks like that's some kind of a broadcast station. Say I want to bookmark that. You click on this little ribbon here, and you can say, I want to save this for something, you know. Okay, station. There, and it's bookmarked here, but this is now personal, and it's marked in my own browser.
Okay.
Nobody else can see that. Okay,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. So yeah, I'm leaving this SDR on for anybody who's interested in looking at it. You can all log on with that URL. You could do it on your browser, on your smartphone, or your PC at home. And just to consider that if you see somebody else is logged in and you see like 2 clients when you log on, that means somebody else is there already and you don't really want to be changing the band on them. If it's only yourself, you're glad to go happy to go anywhere you want on the band. So it's fun. I think it's really fun. So I have an SDR play at home with this little Raspberry Pi, and it's only drawing like 5 watts, and it's using my antenna for something useful when I'm not there. Okay. So I think that's pretty much it. Any questions? Okay, let's pass this microphone.
So I'm not sure if it's Wilson, N6EMF. Not sure if you covered this, but how does the public get to your WebSDR consistently? Does it have like a static IP address that, or do you have to have a special kind of internet connection, or is there a web server that handles that for you?
Okay, I'm going to get on camera here a moment. Yeah, what I do is I go into my router, I do port forwarding so that anything that's coming into that particular port, 8074 is the one, will go directly to my Raspberry Pi when it hits me in the LAN. Now, the way I set up the website is I have access to the subdomains for n6na.org, and I set up a subdomain sdr.n6na.org, and it's pointing directly to my my wide area network IP address, and that's how it directs it into my Raspberry Pi. And my IP address really hasn't changed. I have Comcast. And for some reason, although I don't have a static IP address, it really hasn't changed.
That's great.
For years. So
Thank you.
It's pretty stable.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think another question there was Don. Yes.
You answered my question.
Already answered the question. Okay, thanks.
Well, Carol, as usual, a great job. Before we conclude, a couple of things. We have 2 visitors tonight. This gentleman sitting here had an interest. Could you give me an example of what you're interested in? Where did it go? Oh, great. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Sorry. So a friend of mine, they used to fly with us. He told me to buy some equipment. So I got a Yagi antenna and I got some, inexpensive VHF, UHF radios. And there it's to serve to as a backup to the transmitters that we put on our birds, which are these little devices here. Let's see. This is a GPS transmitter that goes on the leg of the bird. But again, if the bird lands under cover and we have to do a search and rescue, You know, we may not have a satellite signal, so I want to learn how to use the radio, like a fox hunt, I guess you call it, or something. Yeah. So
To track down a bird.
yeah. Yes. Yes. Live large parrots. Yeah. Yeah. They're large birds. Yeah. The receiver's right here.
Yeah, but I mean, this has to be transmitted because it's sending signal to you.
Correct. Yeah. This is the receiver, and there's an app on my phone, and I can see exactly where the bird is on my phone by GPS. Yeah.
So what's happening is the bird is located via GPS and that signature is sent to your receiver. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. But like I say, if the bird lands under cover or something happens to the phone, right, we lose that GPS signal. I want to learn how to use the radios to get a signal to track the bird.
I think you're going to
that
have
way.
a tough time.
Okay.
That's a pretty sophisticated radio direction finding system to find a bird. It does.
Yeah,
but
this particular transmitter has a frequency of 434.605.
it's a UHF signal, but you need a very directional antenna. And ideally, you'd want two different locations to kind of provide you two different paths to see where the two paths cross. Of course.
Triangulate. Okay.
I think you'd have a hell of a time getting it done.
Okay.
I'm sorry? I'm not even familiar with it.
Talk later about that.
So yeah, he my friend basically said buy the radio and this Yagi antenna, and I'll show you how to do it. He kind of went AWOL. I haven't seen him for years. So.
Well, a Yagi antenna is great, but the path of that antenna is not, they're fairly broad beam. It could be 5 degrees wide. It could be 12 degrees wide. It could be 15 degrees wide. So you get a general idea where it is, but it's not going to pinpoint where that bird is. Oh, I bet it's wider than that.
About that, right? As long as you have a couple people, be able to.
You need to triangulate, and if he's in an airplane trying to figure out where that bird is, you need,
No, I'm on the ground.
you're on the ground.
Yeah.
Well,
we just let them go, and so they go miles.
I'm sorry?
They'll fly for miles.
You need at least two locations, and it's not going to be that precise. You're going to have a 15-degree window at best. It's probably a 30 or a 40-degree window where you've got these two beams crossing. So you're going to be looking at a pretty broad area to try and find them. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
I hope I didn't destroy your day.
Yeah, let's.
Well, the GPS on the bird is the best thing there is.
Back.
Encourage the bird to fly.
Fly back, return.
That's what he's got. He's got a tracker on it. The problem is if the signal is too weak, I don't think the bird knows how to do that. I don't think you can uplink to a satellite with something that small. But what they're doing, they're taking the GPS information and putting it on that little tiny transmitter so that he can pick up the signal. But they're not going to be able to have that signal get up to a bird and relay it back to him. I mean, there's just not enough power to get it done. Did you have any questions? You're a visitor tonight as well. Okay. I know that James has some information he wants to deliver.
Thank you, Phil. Let me share the screen. This is just information for those of you who are interested in upgrading to general. Our sister, one of our fellow clubs, the Sierra Foothills Club, is offering a licensing class. I'm one of the instructors, starting next Tuesday night for 8 weeks on Zoom. And we also have 2 labs, including an antenna build lab. We'll probably build an end-fed antenna. And that's what we usually do. And we'll have a day where we go out in the field and give those who are about to be generals the opportunity to work on HF, both in the digital and analog mode. So that starts next Tuesday. And if you don't have your license at all, like our visitor, we'll be having a class starting October 17th. And they're very easy to sign up. Just go to w6ek.org and sign up if you'd like to take a class. It still may be available.
It may be open.
There's a question here in the chat. I believe it's for you, Diane. It was from Bill N6WLM, who said, I'd be worried that you would fox hunt another transmitter using the same frequency.
Most of us have different frequencies. So they're usually, I have my friend's frequency written down if I need to track her transmitter somehow or whatever, but it's within the 434-ish kind of range. No.
434 is in the hand there. Right up above the 430. Yeah. That's low frequency. Or low power.
Low power.
I was just thinking back years ago when I was growing, we had a frequency that we operated all the time. It was in the 150. People had to have that turned down.
He said that when he was driving truck, he had to pay for an FCC license on the 150 VHF.
Yeah, back when I was towing, they had to pay for their frequencies and nobody could use it and he had to pay in yearly. So nobody, he had that frequency.
Well, did we cover that topic thoroughly? It's a commercial frequency, which is completely out of our realm.
Band. It's like 150 megahertz.
Yeah, I can just comment. This is Carol, KP4MD. 434 megahertz is a Part 15 unlicensed. It's within the ham band, but Part 15 devices under so many milliwatts are allowed to use that. It's a very commonly used frequency, like for weather station, temperature sensors and things like that, and little fobs that communicate with cars and things. So if you listen on that frequency, you'll see little weak digital signals every once in a while. It's completely legal. It's FCC Part 15, but there's no protection from interference from anybody else because it's completely unlicensed and it's just low power. Bill suggests using APRS, so you're going to have a license for that. Yeah. Yeah. APRS.
One last thing. I did bring a little homemade link coupler thing that if anybody's interested, I'll show you how those things fit together. Anybody who's thinking about using balanced feeders might have an interest in that. Unless there's any other questions, we do have one, Steve.
Okay, so I belong to numerous clubs in the area. I was at Elk Grove's meeting, and our president Dave brought up a communication he got from Sierra Foothills, and it seems Smitty is looking to put together a group of area presidents.
We're familiar with it.
Did we say yes or no?
Yes, I said yes.
Okay, I was just curious.
We're on the same page. Okay, anything else? In the absence of that, Have a great evening. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
There you go.
Great presentation, Carol. Thank you.
Can you do that with children?
You're welcome.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Kara signed up for that. Kara? Who's Kara? She's one of our new techs.
Oh, good. Okay.
Was she ended up at Sierra?
She did. Okay, good. In fact, I need to talk to Jen. Hey, I'll be right back. Good. I don't know if I know her. Do I know her? She wasn't in our classes. No, okay. All right. All right, so she signed up. Trying to promote it so we get more people. In the class. I mean, I think the bigger the class. The fun.
This.
I submitted, Carol, and I submitted my name because I'm the club coordinator for ARR and all Sacramento Valley. Yeah.
And I told him that's what I wanted to do when I became president at. So let's go down.
President of Northville. You will. All right.
Want to end the session? Good.